Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 11.
A new season begins with madness. The highlights as the UK men's and women's basketball teams took the court.
We now know the identity of a teenager shot and killed at an apartment complex here on McCullough Drive.
WKYT News at 11 starts now. We begin with a breaking news alert out of Laurel County. Good evening to you. Deputies say a man accused of badly injuring a teenager in a crash has escaped home incarceration. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office is looking for 47-year-old Terry Mullins. They say he left a home near London this afternoon and hasn't been seen since. Last month, deputies say Mullins hit 17-year-old R.J. Warren with his van as Warren rode his bike, but he didn't stop. Warren suffered serious injuries but has been released from the hospital. Mullins was on home incarceration charged with assault, leaving the scene of an accident, and DUI. A new basketball season kicked off tonight with quite a show. UK fans packed Rupp Arena for Big Blue Madness, and they got a glimpse of the men's and women's teams, and both of which had plenty of talent. WKYT's Brian Milam has some of the highlights in our top story at 11. Hey, Brian.
Hello, hello. You could say the college basketball season is officially here. 23,000 strong on hand tonight at Rupp Arena for Big Blue Madness. Matthew Mitchell and his UK Hoop squad, they were introduced first. The Wildcat ladies returned several key starters and have a talented and tall group of freshmen this season. Then it was the men and an over-the-top production that has become quite the tradition. Here's Alex Poitras being introduced to a thunderous ovation. The Wildcats playing some 3-on-3, then going through about a 30-minute scrimmage, and we will have a complete wrap-up tonight in sports, including a surprise from Matthew Mitchell, and you will not want to miss that.
All right, sounds good, Brian. Thanks so much. And for more Big Blue coverage, just go to our website, WKYT.com. Tonight, we are learning some new information about a deadly shooting at a Lexington apartment complex. We now know the victim's name. Lexington police have ruled the shooting a homicide. They say they found the victim dead this morning in an apartment complex along McCullough Drive in the Winburn neighborhood. WKYT's Garrett Weimer is tracking the investigation tonight.
After a mid-morning shooting at this apartment complex,
and then just shortly after that, we received a call of a male subject down in the hallway bleeding.
we now know the victim is a Lexington teenager, 19-year-old Jeffrey Adams. Police say Adams was shot several times in what they're investigating as a homicide. That's why the coroner will not release where Adams was shot.
Whoever has done this knows where they shot him at, so that'll be a part of the police investigation that they'll be looking at.
Adams was pronounced dead at the scene here after a shooting that shook up some neighbors.
It scared me. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, it would scare anybody.
And it makes this mother of three want to move.
That's what we plan on doing. We can't live in something like this. I mean, not with kids.
Meanwhile, police are still looking for clues to help them find Adams' killer.
Very likely somebody saw somebody running from the scene, walking away quickly. That's the information that we need to be able to help solve this case.
In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
If you have any information, you are asked to call Lexington Police. You can find their number on WKYT.com. We now know the name of a man killed in a crash in Scott County this afternoon. That crash happened along Cherry Blossom Way in Georgetown. The coroner says 27-year-old Edward Derek Kraft of Georgetown was killed. The Scott County coroner says Kraft's truck crossed the center line and hit two other trucks. Another person was taken to UK hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. President Obama has appointed a former White House official to be the person in charge of the U.S. response to the Ebola virus. Ron Klain used to be chief of staff to Vice President Joe Biden. Also today, U.S. officials rushed to cut off potential routes of infection from 3 cases in Texas. A passenger on a Carnival cruise ship has been placed in isolation. She handled lab specimens from Thomas Eric Duncan, a Liberian man who died in Texas of Ebola. Doctors say she has not shown any signs of infection. Well, it is being called a prank, but health officials aren't laughing about a flyer they say had false information about the Ebola virus. They say that flyer was left outside a home in the Meadowview area, Franklin County, yesterday. It shows a CDC logo, but health officials say the flyer claimed the virus can be transmitted by air and that more than 20 cases have been confirmed in the U.S. They say both of those statements are false.
As a public health agency, what we are trying to do is get out accurate information. We are trying to make sure that our community is not panicked, and having misinformation out there does nothing but stir the pot.
Well, police are trying to figure out who printed that flyer. They say if caught, that person could be charged with terroristic threatening. A federal appeals court has weighed in on a Kentucky law banning campaign activity near polling places. A federal judge struck down that law, claiming it violated First Amendment speech rights. The Kentucky Attorney General and the Secretary of State's office appealed. Today, the appeals court ruled that the state could still ban campaign activity within 300 feet of polling places on public property. But the ruling won't allow the state to enforce that law at polling places on private property. There's been a delay in the next phase of the Centerpoint project in downtown Lexington. Crews need a massive crane brought in to begin the next phase. It was supposed to arrive today, but it's now been delayed. City leaders say crews need 42 hours to set up the crane, and that would require a block of Main Street being shut down during that time. At this point, the city can't find a time where the setup wouldn't disrupt events going on in downtown. Right now, the city and Centerpoint developers are working to come up with a solution.